rescue op. Save the dinosaurs from an island that's about to explode. What could go wrong?
Hello, welcome to Fallen Kingdom. We return to Jurassic World 1 minute at a time. I'm Brad.
I'm Dave.
And in this episode, we're discussing minute 31 of Fallen Kingdom. But before we get to that, David, heading over to Jurassic-Pedia.com, there's a relatively new article up here. Well, this month's article up from Pteranodon Formosus on the flying Boxcar, the Fairchild C119. Kaylee's plane from Dominion. Another iconic vehicle that's been added to the franchise, and we're going to talk a lot more about that when we get to Dominion. But something I find funny, I do have the wiki link here in the run sheet as well for the flying boxcar. They only made just under 1,200 of them, so she done pretty good to find a second one to fix up at the end of the film, unless she recovered hers from the bottom of that dam.
Mm. As she said, Biosyn owes her a plane. Yeah, these things were behemoths. They were named so because they literally looked like a boxcar that you would find on a train. And they were known for hauling military personnel, equipment, all kinds of stuff. And Kayla's kind of has that old beater kind of trope going on with hers, it's kind of like her Millennium Falcon.
Which, yeah, it's weird too. Like, as I said earlier, under 1,200 are made for World War II. So a very old aircraft to still be flying. I remember recently, like the tragedy in Texas with that Super Fortress collision. Oh, yeah. And I think there's only a couple of those that are flying, and they're sort of museum quality pieces, just because it costs so much to keep them in the air and keep maintenance up to them. Yet here's Caleb going around doing Han Solo stuff in hers, so it's a good little addition to the film anyway. So the article's up here on Pedia. Like a lot of the articles at the moment, they're getting written out, so there's a placeholder on the Pedia page, and then we'll go back at a later stage and fill them out with a lot more detail as we learn more behind the scenes and everything else.
Yeah, this one, as of this record, is only a couple of days old, so
yeah,
we'll definitely go back into this one and expand it, put in its role in the film, maybe throw some specs up there too.
Yeah, and especially as behind the scenes stuff becomes more apparent too, like the miniatures used and that sort of thing, because there was a miniature of this plane for a lot of the runway stuff. In the film, but again, we'll go behind the scenes in that when we get to Dominion.
Well, it's funny you mentioned just digging the one that crashed into the lake up, because the one that is at the end of the movie, it's literally the exact same plane. She just paints a 2 on the next to her little logo on the side.
See, I would have thought by Rise of Skywalker there would have been a second Falcon found, and Ray would have just put 2 on the side of that as well. But it's still
funny enough. The Falcon, it was basically like the Boxcar. It was just a freighter that Han Solo had tricked out. So he's basically running around the galaxy in this tricked out semi-truck.
Yeah.
And that's what Kayla's doing. She's running around Europe in this tricked out semi-truck of a plane.
Yep. Yeah, and that's why I like and also hate the episode 3 reference when we see the Falcon coming into the spaceport on Coruscant. I prefer that not to be Han Solo and just it's another YT Falcon or whatever they call the model number. Just it's a big galaxy. There's got to be more than just one of that out there. But
yeah.
Anyway, this isn't Star Wars Minute. So yeah. As I said, the article will get expanded in future time. So head over to see it and many more at Jurassic-Pedia.com.
Miss, things could get hairy out there.
These are powerful sedatives. One too many and she could have respiratory failure. Also, I'm not as soft and witless as your comment implies. Let's go, Beefcake.
Alright, Dave, how about we get into minute 31 of Fallen Kingdom?
Alright.
Alright, minute 31 of Fallen Kingdom opens with the Dino trackers coming online and ends with our crew heading for the bunker door. As we open on minute 31, we get that map of Isla Nublar come to life with all the little dots for the animal locations popping up all over it. At a quick count here, and I will say a quick count, I got about 180 dots, not including the ones concentrated at the East Dock, so it's a shame, I know, for future storytelling, that sort of thing. We never got a confirmation of the animal count on Nublar in 2015. We had the visitor count, that was clear in a lot of scenes, but we just never got exactly how many animals were stocked or on the island back then. Obviously because they wanted to bring in the Carnotaurus and that for Fallen Kingdom and other animals and not sort of lock themselves into what they'd set up in Jurassic World.
True. I was thinking more like Jean Reno in Godzilla, where Matthew Broderick starts counting the eggs and Jean Reno's just like, stop counting.
Yes, we got a stadium full. Yeah, and that you'd go into the hope of seeing wild raptors and that sort of thing as well. But well, I suppose we do get them
initially, and we can talk more about this as we get into the minutes about Blue's Nest. But there was going to be a second raptor that Blue was going to be mated with in this movie, and we saw it expressed in the merchandising as this random green raptor for this movie.
I can't going back to Camp Cretaceous, it's Blue that chases them through the old visitor centre. We don't actually get any other raptors there. And then the other ones we do see are on the other island with Cash's compound, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those ones were Cash's raptors.
Yeah, rightio. So it also makes you wonder too. We know Mills has set up earlier that they want to save all 15 species, but they never said they were going to save every animal. So 180 plus what's at the East Dock-ish. That's a lot of space that's going to be taken up on the Arcadia, especially if you're larger herbivores and that. And that also brings us to our next issue as well. Franklin says there's already a large concentration at the East Dock. Wheatley confirms that it's his boat. They've already captured a bunch of them. First we had the lagoon moving, and now the East Dock's up in the north.
Yeah, I don't care for that either.
If we didn't have the sign, that the East Dock sign that Colin tweeted the photo out, much like the first film, this could be the East Dock, and maybe we're just a little bit... the islands will pivot a little bit on the compass that this is still in the east, but it's not where the actual original East Dock should have been. It's a lot further south.
It is, and it kind of leads me to believe that this is not actually the original East Dock, and that it's a new dock added by Masrani. And just the simple fact that the original the original East Dock is actually shown on the Jurassic World map on, I think it was the viral site that they had it on, that I think it was marked East Dock, and then you had Dengery's Can just like kind of a little bit of ways from it. And what I think is that and I believe there was also a North Dock mentioned somewhere. I can't remember if that was the movies or if that was only the book.
Well, the book definitely had a North and East Dock, and then some of the early, I think the original brochure map, park brochure map for Nublar had a North and East Dock as well.
Because this almost seems like it should be the North Dock.
Yeah.
And if it weren't for film dialogue in this movie, you would expect its placement being the North Dock. You know.
Yeah, you look at the original Jurassic Park Nublar park brochure map, and that North Dock's pretty much right where that is, where we're seeing the East Dock now on this map. So
exactly.
Yeah, and again, it's them just saying East Dock. It's a reference. We don't actually get to see the East Dock sign there. We don't get any Jurassic Park era Easter eggs or anything there. So, as you said, this could be just simply they sort of merged the east and north dock into one. Because also on a lot of the New Blood maps we got back in the day, where the east dock was is sort of the end of that river system where now the lagoon sort of is too, and we sort of... I know we've talked earlier about the changes in lagoon map, but having that river system go from the lagoon out, how the mosasaur gets out to the ocean, that sort of river system come out near the east dock as well. Which makes sense, even though in the film we do see the breakwater and that, you would want the dock sort of inland a little bit down the river and not sitting right on the coast where it's going to cop all the fury of the seas. But we know, we've seen it in Jurassic Park, that that's not necessarily the case. Claire sort of thinks for a moment here and asks without the tracking system in relation to Wheatley already catching a few of them, and Wheatley responds in that accent. I'm not even going to try to do it, but he says the big herbivores are easy to find, and then asks if they can isolate the raptor. I think I think he leaves the B out of herbivores or something. It's really weird, that accent. So yeah, obviously they've been catching all sorts of animals that they can get their hands on, but
as unnecessary as it would have been nice to have been able to pad out this island portion of the movie with a capture montage or something like that, you know?
Well, just imagine instead of setting up the Indoraptor at the start, imagine just the inciting incident being Wheatley's team on the island and they're catching the animals, and one of the blue attacks happens. Yeah. And he's like, even if it's just a cheesy turn of the camera and going, we're going to have to get an expert or someone in here that knows blue to do it. And then that sets up Claire going to see Owen. That sets up the whole lot of stuff with Lockwood Manor and that. And we know by then, it's not a big secret that Mills has already got Wheatley's team on the island catching dinosaurs. They're going to do it whether the US Congress decide to go in and save them or not. They wouldn't know how many animals are on the island. Quick operation, in, out, get what we can before others get on island.
You wouldn't even have to explain who these people are. You could make them look like they're poachers or something, and have them out there on dirt bikes like they did with the Lost World. And Blue comes up, runs alongside the dirt bike, and turns and attacks the guy on the dirt bike.
Yeah. Yep. It'd flow so much better than trying to keep this whole secret. And we know that Wu got off island with samples and DNA and that in Jurassic World, so you don't have to set up that this team's gone back to Nublar to get a piece of the Indominus Rex when we've discussed that skeleton sitting on the bottom of the Mosasaur Lagoon and all the issues there. Just for a T-Rex action scene at the front, because we're not going to get Rexy again for a long time in this movie.
Well, the whole trilogy is very Rex-light. It's much more raptor-focused, following up with the Jurassic Park 3, and that's kind of what I liked about Dominion, is that it kind of gave a little bit of spotlight to all the dinosaurs, including Rexy. Mm-hmm. Especially in the extended version.
Well, yeah, if you don't watch the extended version, we don't see her until she's on the plane headed for Bison Valley, so... and it would have just gave us a bit more on Nublar, but in saying that too, I don't mind the opening sequence with the T-Rex anyway. So,
don't get me wrong, I love that sequence, but I just think that they could have set up the film better.
Yeah, definitely. With Claire's help, they locate Blue. Funnily enough, right between the radio tower and the volcano, where they're nice and close to where they are currently. Code D9, I don't think... Is that brought up in the Ibris Project article on Pedia? I think it's just a throwaway number, isn't it, for the film?
I think it is. I don't think it's actually indicative of anything.
Yeah, unless she was version 9 or something, but I think it's just a arbitrary tracking number that would have been put to her.
Yeah.
But then, Owen's right onto it, asking for a Jeep, and Zia says she's going with him. They don't know what kind of condition she might be in, so Zia's trying to find an excuse to go with him, instead of hanging around with Wheatley and his mercenaries. Wheatley stops Zia, and she reacts, pulling the Trink dart from his vest and says these are powerless 70s, one too many and she could go into respiratory arrest. She then puts the dart back in his holder on his chest and pats it. And she also isn't as soft and witless as his comments imply, because he keeps on calling a miss and all that sort of stuff. But then she walks to the door and says to Owen, "Let's go, Beefcake." So again, she's adding a little bit of humour here and there. We get our Chekhov's trank dart. We're going to get that up in a few minutes' time when Owen cops one in the chest. Real powerful sedatives for a human anyway, because we get that whole thing, and we're going to talk about that when Owen does his little comedic bit there, half paralysed. No, alright. And then just to end a little bit of humour on the minute, Claire stops Owen and slow turns to walk towards her and says he'll be careful. And then Owen looks at her seriously. "If I don't make it back, remember you're the one who made me come." Good little bit of Chris Pratt humour there, and that's when we get the score sort of pick up, and he smiles and turns and says, "I'll be alright," and walks for the door. So that's making light of a situation. He's got to go and try and find Blue, and we'll get there next minute. He's by himself in the movie, but he's not by himself in the novel. Looking over at novel comparisons briefly, as Franklin says he's in, Owen looks impressed and says they could use you in the NSA. Franklin replies that he applied twice. So I wonder what happens between this and Dominion, where couldn't get in the NSA, so I'm going to go CIA instead.
Publicity.
Yeah, yep. well, along with everyone else that worked for Masrani, it would seem.
Mm-hmm.
Brent Franklin mentions the E-stock. Wheatley says that they're the ones they've already caught, 11 species, and then asks if they can find the raptor. So they've already caught 11 species animals in the novel and have them on the dock. He's still here waiting for that raptor. And as I said before, species D9 for Blue. It's Owen that mentions it, not Claire. So Owen should know too, not Claire. But she didn't really know a lot about the raptor program. Owen doesn't ask for a Jeep. He asks Franklin if he can make the tracking system portable. Franklin replies he already has. He just needs to stay logged in here to transmit to the portable tablet. So probably a reason there in the novel why Franklin's staying here and not going out with everyone else in the vehicles. And the Zia stuff with Wheatley and Owen talking to Claire happens just like we see in the movie. So
I was going to say, well, in fairness to Claire, I think she was just reading the code off the screen in the movie.
Yeah. Yep.
But it's interesting that they only caught 11 species, because we know that they end up getting a lot more than that by what they're selling and what we see on the screens in the movie.
Well, would have to go back to Mills's desk when he's flicking through the animals there, because I'm pretty sure he does show 11 species before he gets to Blue, and then compare that, because the Stiggy Moloch isn't on that list, is it?
I can't remember.
Yeah.
I believe that Mills had suggested that Claire had asked how many they can save, and Mills said that they've already got 11 species.
Okay. Yep. Well, I'll do some research before when we get to the auction, and we'll see what animals have been added to that tally. But, Dave, that's it. I think that's minute 31 done. How about we get out of here for the week, and we'll be back next week with minute 32.
Alright, sounds good.
Alright, lovely.